Well, I'll open with the tradition and history of this game is pretty incredible. I think when you talk about one of the oldest rivalries in college football, it's always been a game that I know as a player I look forward to playing in, and it's been some tremendous games between the two teams, and our guys are looking forward to getting to play at home in front of a raucous crowd, great atmosphere. I'm expecting our fans to turn out and give us an electric atmosphere to play in against a good Auburn football team.
Hey, raise your hand.
Coach, have you found out any more about Jalen Carter's knee, and do you expect that play will get reviewed, that his knee was injured on by the SEC office, considering it looked like a textbook illegal job block?
I talked to the official during the play. I mean, he felt comfortable about what the play was. We talked about it before the game. They have a lot of backside cuts. Auburn, a lot of teams use the same method. So I'm hopeful, that we keep our players safe, do what's within the limits of the game and the rules. But that's not for me to decide, to be honest with you. But Jalen's going to be a week or two. Not sure it's MCL like expected. We don't know how long it's going to be, but it doesn't look good for this week.
Kirby, looking at Auburn, it seemed like they were able to generate offense with Robbie Ashford, their quarterback, allowing him to kind of be creative when they've been able to make big plays. What stands out to you about Robbie and what he's been able to do at quarterback?
Well, that's a young man we recruited, and he came over and visited us several times. He's a tremendous athlete. I mean, Coach BMAC had him at Oregon when he was there, and just talked about how phenomenal an athlete he is. He worked out with the receivers and athletes, didn't even work out with the quarterbacks during a lot of their conditioning program, and you see it on tape. He is really special in terms of twitch, being elusive. His best plays sometimes are plays that end up being broken plays, and the guy can take off and really hurt you. He can beat you with his arm, especially on scrambles. They had a huge play last week off of a scramble play. So, being disciplined in your rush lanes, being disciplined in your coverage responsibilities when a quarterback scrambles will probably happen more often this week than most weeks, just because of the athlete he is.
Coach, being 5 games in, and got some guys now banged up. How do you go about helping guys get those legs back under them, so to speak, but at the same time keeping your practice intensity and tempo up like you want it to be? Well,
that's the off season. We lift and run, work out. We train all summer for this stretch run, and I thought our guys were in really good shape in the fourth quarter. The conditioning is different than the physicality, right? There's bumps and bruises from contact, and then there's conditioning. You certainly hope your team has the right conditioning level, because you don't fix that in season. You've got to have a good conditioning level to play in the fourth quarter, which I think we have. The physicality part, you can obviously tone down how much you hit, but you do that at the cost of not being as physical as you want to be.
Hey, Kirby, kind of on the physicality front, after watching the tape, what do you think about how the run game did on Saturday? You mentioned after the game that y'all went to some gap plays in the second half. Is that something you think y'all maybe discovered some, or is that something you could maybe go to more going forward and have success in the run game?
Well, we run gap plays in every game. So if you look at the game, you see that we have every team does. Nobody really plays football anymore with just one run. There's a lot of multiple runs in there, and you can have so many runs that you can't run them all, right? The idea is to have the right ones and execute them well and do things well. But, the tape showed what we talked about the other night. We just didn't play real well up front. They had a lot of momentum, and we got to do a better job. We got to do a better job preparing our guys, but we also got to do a better job in game of making good decisions and putting ourselves in a situation to be successful, or more successful at least.
Kirby, following up on the Jalen situation or play, and then on a different topic, do you think it was a chop block on that play? And then I want to ask you about Robert Field, who came on last season with a lot of sacks at the end. I think he has any this year. What were you seeing in terms of his ability to get to the quarterback?
Well, Robert's done a great job. He had one of the best plays in the game the other night on a goal line play where they almost scored. We ended up holding him to a field goal. He's playing really physical, playing more snaps. He had more opportunities last year. Again, sacks are a number that statistics look at, but we don't sit there and say you don't get a lot of opportunities. And We haven't had a lot of third down and longs. We had more last week maybe than we've had in the past, where you get an opportunity to do that. But that's just the way it's gone so far this year. But I'm very pleased with how Robert's playing, how he's practicing. He's playing more snaps right now than he did last year in terms of at this time, because his opportunities came much later. And it doesn't really matter what I think about the block. So I don't. What does it really matter? It matters what the official thinks and what the review thinks.
Kirby, I noticed he didn't dress, but that Eric did travel with you guys to Missouri. What was the thinking behind that, and how's he doing?
The thing is to keep him with us, right? We're trying to develop him and bring him along, and it's important that he's with us in terms of meetings, walkthroughs, being there with us, being with the team, being part of the connection. He's got a great rapport with the players, so that's why he was there.
Kirby, we talked after the game Saturday just about the second half and the way you guys finished. And just generally, when it comes to SEC football, what does it take for a team consistently, week after week, to be able to finish a second half strong?
Well, it takes, number one, being in shape, physically in shape. It takes being mentally strong. It takes consistency and performance. You have to perform under great pressure repeatedly. It's really more about playing on the road and having a demeanor about you that you understand, regardless of where you're playing in our league. The road games are really hard, and I don't think that's ever going to change. And you got to be prepared for that. And momentum's a very powerful thing, and we didn't have that for a long time in that game.
The way the last couple of weeks have gone, how do you kind of balance, maybe we're going to ramp this up and shake out of this if you've been in a funk, or just tell the guys, hey, calm down, we're very good, we're doing right things, and things are coming along? How do you kind of balance those two things?
Yeah, I don't look at it that way really at all. I mean, I look at it from day to day. I worry about what we're doing today. It's like I'm gonna worry about what we do tomorrow. I don't look at it as you're in a hitting slump or some kind of funk or anything like that, because a lot of that's predicated off what the other team does and what we do. It's very different teams we faced between Kent State and 3 down, Missouri, and the way they played us, just different things. So I don't really look at it that way.
What did you make of Dominic Blaylock's performance on Saturday and getting him back integrated into the offense along with Arian Smith and A.D. Mitchell? What can that do for this passing offense, having those three guys back out there?
Well, they're all different. Dom's been there the whole season. I don't think it's an integration factor. He's been really clutch. What he does really well. And there's package plays for Dom, and he does a nice job, man. His plays he made the other night were really clutch. I mean, a lot of the receivers made some. Marcus Rosemy had some clutch plays, and Arian had the one catch. Getting him back and getting him some confidence is great, but we have to have some depth at that position, and we got to have some guys make some plays at those positions.
I actually had a similar question, but AD specifically on his availability this week. Obviously, you took him, but I don't think he played. And just overall, the wide receivers and Stetson, the passing game seemed a little bit off. But then when you go back and look at it, there's a lot of pressure in that game. So I guess things weren't getting delivered on time and maybe in a little bit bigger hurry than usual. Can you assess just kind of the pass game coming out of that?
Yeah, I think it was a different kind of game. There's a lot of opportunities for one-on-ones, and you got to win some of those opportunities. I think if you're in third and long all game, you're not running the ball, you're not managing the sticks real well, it puts you behind it. But AD is hopeful. Again, he was close to being able to go. We thought last week we took him with the intention of seeing if he could go. Pre-game and thought he looked pretty good. I did feel comfortable putting him out there. We're hopeful that he's able to go this week, and we don't know until we get out there and get closer to the game. But he's much closer this week than he was last week, and getting Arian back helped with that. And all the reps we've gotten for these freshmen have helped. We got to continue to get those guys better.
You faced Tank Bigsby a couple of times. You recruited him. What sort of problems does he present in the run game for Auburn?
Well, run game and pass game. He's explosive. He's a great guy out of the backfield to catch the ball. He catches screens well. He's vertical on his run game. He's tough. Yards after contact. He's one of those backs that, like the good ones, they get better with their carries. And he's extremely physical and runs with low pad level. And is one of these typical SEC backs that you better bring your lunch pail when you come to tackle him.
curious how you gauge the maturity of the team. I guess the way the team started, it kind of quieted a lot of the talk about it being young, particularly on defense. But are we maybe seeing some of that youth still present?
Well, I think anxiety would be one of the things that you worry about with a young team, and really the first real road environment, because you know the South Carolina game played out so different. You know, we started really fast. I guess we're up 14-0, 21-0 pretty quick, and the crowd really never got into the game. Took them out of the game. We didn't do that the other night, and so some of those youthful anxiety, you know, guys playing that kind of atmosphere for the first time. We're a team, you know, like last year's team, they would have played in that a bunch of times. So there's a lot of youth there, but to be honest with you, it was a great opportunity to see what we're about, because I don't know that you could find any greater adversity than be down 10 points in the fourth quarter, resiliency, all those things. But we got to make sure that we do a good job building on that, and that we start faster and better.
Yeah, Kirby, at almost a halfway point of the year, as far as the offensive line goes, do you feel like y'all are trying to approach a point where you really want to trim up that offensive line rotation and get those 5 best guys? And kind of what have you seen from that unit as a whole progressing from the start of the season till now?
Now, I don't look at it as a trim up. I mean, why would you trim up your offensive line? If you have guys that play quality football and they go against pretty good players every day in practice, I think they earn the right to get an opportunity, right? Who plays at receiver? Do we play 3 guys? Not last time I checked. Tight end, Brock and Darnell roll in with 11 personnel. So you earn the right by how you play. And if those guys continue to earn the right and play well, then they'll probably play. I don't, you know, it has a lot to do with conditioning and stamina. You know, you got guys coming off injuries out there. You got guys that hadn't played a lot of football, and some guys have. So we want to play the best 5, but if that's not clear, then we feel like guys that can play winning football should play. And I'm very pleased with that part of it. Can we do some better things in the run game to help them? Absolutely. Can they do a better job in the run game? Absolutely. But it's not totally on the offensive line. It never is. It's a team sport. So everybody wants to point the finger at them. They're not to blame for anything. We all got to improve.
Are we sticking with the offensive line? Now that you've had a chance to review the Missouri tape, and there were some struggles with the offensive line, or maybe not, depending on how you look at it. Was that more of a scheme issue or an execution issue? Because you didn't seem very happy after the game with them. And second question, can you tell us about your inside linebackers, Dumas Johnson and Smile Mond, and their health and availability?
First one, Smile's got an ankle sprain, but we think he'll be fine. He came back in the game and played and finished out the game. Pop seems good. He seems fine. I don't think there's anything there. I mean, I'll find out today, but nothing that I'm aware of. And then on the offensive line, it's not a lack of execution or scheme thing. I mean, they didn't play anything different than they had. You know, it's physicality, it's winning up front, and it's more than that. It's giving them an opportunity to be successful. And sometimes that falls on me as a coach, on us as coaches, not just on them. So it's not a lack of execution. Sometimes you get whipped, and sometimes we got whipped, and sometimes we didn't. And when you didn't, you got to capitalize. You know, there's still some big runs in there, and then we fumbled the ball on a big run. We had big runs in the fourth quarter. You know, the offensive line, you could say, didn't allow them to get the ball back. So that was a very big positive when they had every guy on their team in the box, and we blocked them and got first down. So there's a lot of positives with that, and we'll draw on the ability to come back from that.
It looked like Tyke got a lot of those reps at the start. Can you review for it? I don't know who else might have gotten in the game and played there, but how did you think your start position performed in this last game? And Javon Bullard, what's his status?
Yeah, we're expecting to get Javon back this week. Tyke did a good job. Tyke will continue to play star like he has in the previous games. He did a nice job practicing last week. Got a lot of confidence in Tyke. It gives us some depth at that position. They complement each other really well, and hope that both of them can help us.
Kirby, Wisconsin and Colorado fired their coaches yesterday, October 2nd, as one of the more prominent coaches in the game. What do you make of the trend of programs or schools pulling the plug so early in the season on coaches?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's become much more nature of the beast for our profession with the salaries and television contracts and the amount of money that people make. The expectations go up, and administration makes decisions much quicker, and that's their right to do it. You know, it's not necessarily the best thing for our profession, but it comes with the territory. I don't think any one of those coaches would tell you that they didn't understand that. They didn't know that getting into it. But they would also tell you that they didn't get into it for the amount of money they make either, because it's for a lot of us not about the money. It's about the opportunity to be around young people, coach them, pull them in the right direction, and we all know what's at stake with these administrations and with the nature of the beast in college football right now.
Kirby, I don't know how big the deal was, but Jalen and some other guys, John, some Missouri guys before the game, and there was some stuff after the game. Was there anything to those things?
All I worry about is our guys' behavior, and we don't want to represent that at all. I think we've done a really good job here at Georgia of representing our university the right way. We play with our helmets, and we don't talk to the other team, and disappointed in any player that would talk to somebody on the other team, and we don't condone it. So something that we get to get fixed. And some teams you play do that more than others, and some teams are from the same line of thinking as yourself in terms of not talking after plays and not talking before games. I'm not saying that Missouri is. I am saying that I'm worried about how our guys behave, and that's not what we want.
Yeah, hey Kirby, obviously his athletic ability plays into this, but with Malachi Starks and the plays that he's been able to make so far in his career, what about his sort of mental in between the ears ability has allowed him to do that for this team?
Well, his mental in between his ears gets him lined up, makes the checks, and helps him make decisions. I think his athleticism gives him confidence to be able to make plays, but I don't really know exactly what you're asking there. I mean, his mental intuition is what gets him on the field to be able to get out there, but his athleticism is what separates him from maybe the other players.
Kirby, Auburn's defense is coming off what was a really strong game statistically. Just what stands out to you about their defense as a whole so far this season?
They're fast, they're physical, playing really hard, 2 elite edge guys, some athletic linebackers. They play really, really hard. I mean, just call it what it is. They scratch off and play with confidence. They're flying around. I mean, I know almost every single player on that defense, and they're good football players.
Time for 2 more questions.
We saw a lot more, maybe more, but we saw Darnell Washington with the ball a lot in his hands. Can you talk about his development since maybe the first game?
Well, since he got here, he's matured so much. He's taken ownership in his role on the team. He's a great ball in the air guy. He's an exceptional blocker. He's taken on his role in terms of displacement and movement on the perimeter, run game blocking, play action, vertical passing. He's really just a better football player because he's bought into being in shape. He's bought into playing with toughness. He's bought into the team, and he's helped himself tremendously in terms of our team helping us, being a guy that can go get balls, especially if you maybe are struggling outside. This guy can go make plays on the ball in the air, and I thought he showed that. Probably had his best game of his career on Saturday night when we needed him most.
Lewis Seen suffered a season-ending injury yesterday in the game against London. Have you gotten to reach out to any of his friends and family or him to see how he's doing?
Yeah, I reached out to him yesterday. I did not hear back. Obviously, I think he was going to go into surgery and was staying back behind the team. But sickening to see, and it's a guy that I felt like I was so close to. Certainly hurt me to see that, and you don't wish that upon anybody. Some of those injuries are part of the game, but it's just so sad. Such a great kid. He'll bounce back from it.
Thank you.